We're going to get started here. Super excited to have you all join. Thanks. Yeah, we've been running these events for a while now, so excited to see some familiar faces. Welcome to the Coinbase Developer Platform event for how to leverage the CDP Developer Portal. I'm Bobby Lee, your host, the Developer Community Operations Manager. So to kick things off, we have a quick question for you guys. So what is one idea that you have that would improve the developer experience in CDP? And we have a form here for you to fill that in. Feel free to do that now or throughout the discussion, and we're going to upvote, or you can upvote what things that you're seeing in there, and whatever gets the most upvotes, we'll chat about it at the end of our presentation and during Q&A. So while you're typing that in, I want to introduce our presenters. So we have Tiffany Wong. Tiffany is a staff software engineer working on the CDP portal. And then we have Alex Hu, and Alex is the CDP portal's product manager. So the topics they're going to go over today is what is the CDP Dev Portal and our docs, and just kind of going through some updates there and some things you might not have noticed that you can do in the portal. And then we'll talk about why that's important. And then we're going to deep dive into how and when you can use these surfaces and what we've launched recently and what we're looking to launch soon. And then at the end, as always, we'll follow up with, so you can have some feedback for us and some questions in the end. So before we get started, just some housekeeping notes. We're going to have the Q&A, like I said, in the end. But throughout the discussion, no need to raise your hand. Just put your questions in the chat on the right or into that feedback form, like we said. And we'll try to get to all the questions in the end. So just wait for that. And then keep your questions relevant to the topic and just be respectful to everyone who's presenting and moderating. And if you have to jump out or you want to watch this later, we will be recording these, and I'll post it in the YouTube channel that we have for all of our other events. So without further ado, let's have Alex and Tiffany take over. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bobby Lee. And hey, everyone. As you mentioned, I'm Alex. I'm a product manager on the CDP portal, joined by esteemed tech lead Tiffany. And we're super excited today to talk to you about the CDP portal and docs. So Bobby Lee went through a quick rundown of our agenda. We're going to talk about our portal and docs, how you can use services, and then hopefully at the end, we'll have time for feedback and questions. So with that, let's dive right into it. And first off, I want to start with a quote from one of our board members, Gokul, an early investor in Figma, Airtable, Vercel, etc. And it's that truly great software companies are self-serve first. What do you mean by self-serve? Self-serve product is one where you can go through it from the sign up to the full first product experience without needing to interact with other people, and ideally in an easy, frictionless manner. Imagine if you had to go buy a plane ticket and you always had to call someone to buy that plane ticket. It'd be a much slower, tedious process. And instead, we have a self-serve process where you can buy one online through a portal. Same thing with developer APIs, where imagine you were only able to access certain APIs if you're a bigger enterprise customer who could contact sales, get custom deals, etc. And you likely end up in those cases with a product that's not really tailored to the masses. And so the idea here is that if you focus on the self-serve user, the smaller market, in this case, for us, two guys with a laptop who are just trying to hack something together, you end up with a more scalable, frictionless product experience that can extend much better later on to the enterprise, medium, large-size businesses, etc. But the self-serve user starts with y'all, which is why we're here in Discord, which is why we want your feedback, so we can see where we're falling short, and we want to help and build this community. And this whole philosophy ties well with our team's goal specifically, which is to build the best developer platform in crypto with the most frictionless developer experience. So when we think about frictionless and we think about this concept of self-serve as well, our team portal and docs plays a big role in that, in making sure that people can get started on their own in an easy manner. And so what is portal and docs? We'll start with docs. I'm sure most of you are familiar, but documentation is generally considered that we consider at least the first part of the developer user journey, where you go to learn about our products and you learn about how to use them. And so this is essentially our static websites with guides and how to use our APIs and SDKs. And the main focus here is around making sure information is really clear and concise with information architecture, making sure the content is high quality and easy to follow, and as well making sure that there are feedback mechanisms for people to be able to suggest edits and also feature requests and such. And then at a high level, the second piece of our team is the portal, And what is the portal? You view this as your area to go execute, to go log into your own personal account, to create an API key, to configure API products, look at metrics, invite team members. Essentially, that second phase of now that you've kind of learned how to use the product, let's actually go in action on it and use the product and actually tailor it to your project. And so the focus is here on usability, interactivity, and some of these dashboard features that allow you to configure products. And I think it's interesting looking at these two surfaces, major surfaces in the CDP developer user journey, because they span across all APIs and they go hand in hand. If you're a user of CDP, you may find yourself going back and forth between these two surfaces. And so to see how, let's dive deeper into some of the functionality into both of them. But before that, also do want to plug this new feature request board that Bobby Lee kind of sent at the beginning that we set up via Canny. So at the bottom of every docs page, you'll see this new link out to a request a new feature. It'll take you to the board where you can write out a new feature you want to see, or also check on a feature that maybe someone else has already suggested and upvoted to help us, make sure we understand what are the most pressing things that people want to be looking for. So again, think about what's one feature idea you could have that would improve the CDP developer experience. Feel free to add it in Canny or in the chat, and whichever one gets upvoted or talked about, or upvoted the most, we can chat about at the end of the presentation. But cool, let's deep dive into Docs and Portal and what you can do. And so, starting with Docs, I'll just quickly share screen of the Docs platform itself. You can see there are a couple tabs on the top, 5 to be specific, and we'll quickly walk through kind of what each of these tabs mean and how to navigate through them. So, let's say you're new to CDP and Coinbase APIs. There's a tab called Get Started, which is a natural place to start. And you can see these are docs that kind of help determine what APIs work best for you, which SDKs might work best for you, as well as learning how to get started with things like API keys and how to authenticate as well. That kind of, again, extend to all APIs. And one cool thing I highlight here is we actually recently launched this AI tooling page where these explainers, where you can essentially copy paste these files into a coding AI tool like Cursor or Claude, and essentially have them already understand and have useful context for building with them. So that's one example again of some of this get started content, some of the more general content as well in the portal and stuff. That's for get started. The second main tab here is the Learn tab. And so let's say you're looking, you kind of got your feet wet a little bit. You're looking for some inspiration now. Like, what can you build? What are some things other people have built? Maybe you want to work off something like a demo app. And so here you can see we have this page here that features a lot of video tutorials. You can see as well relevant links to GitHub repos, replets, etc. Let's say I click on this, I can see the front end repo and download it, work off that. I can also click on the guide here, and that'll take me to this left rail here, where I have a written guide I can follow, as well for step-by-steps, how to build an automated mass payout use case. And I can also explore other demo apps here, like Agent Kit demo app, like an onchain commerce shop, and just run them locally and get a sense of how the CDP APIs work, along with like an actual full stack app. And you can also filter by use case as well as products that are used. So that's our Learn tab. We also have YouTube as well, playlists that you can follow to actually see these videos, to see a demo of like how they work. But then lastly, we have these two other tabs you can see, docs guides, which are split into two categories: CDP APIs and product APIs. CDP APIs are you can think of as our backend and front end suite of crypto services to easily build on-chain apps. Whereas product APIs you can think of as our suite of APIs that give you programmatic access to Coinbase products like trading, like derivatives, etc. If you go back to CDP APIs, you can see we have got multiple sections of primitives you can use for building on-chain apps like wallets, on-chain tools, payments, and staking. If you click into specific SDKs or product guides, you can also notice there are reference docs like our API reference, which allow you to dive a little bit deeper into specific method calls and such. And as well, each of our products have a quick start as well, like for example, an onramp to get you started quickly to kind of hit your first request and kind of understand how this product works. So that's a high level about our documentation. Another, nice couple features I'll highlight. Below here, we have links to request a feature, which link you to our Canny board, which you can again submit feedback on features. And as well, we've launched a new AI search capability as well. So if let's say you read the docs, you're not really sure, like, how do I just set up the CDP SDK, for example? I can type in how do I set up the CDP SDK, click enter, and I'll be given an AI summarized response like so, with proper link outs to specific pages in the docs as well, like here, for example, if I have trouble parsing through. So that's a fun tool you can use as well. And again, the summary is generated by AI, so it's not always perfect, but can be a useful tool. And it'll show you which docs pages that it's summarized from. Cool, so that's a little bit about our docs. Let's flip back to our slides. What's next for our docs? I want to highlight 3 things that are top of mind for us in the coming quarters. One is open sourcing our docs. So this is something that would allow us, the idea here would be to allow external developers like yourselves to suggest content edits to our docs via GitHub PRs directly. And I think this is really exciting as it will help us with content quality and as well engaging with our community very effectively, and also similar to other products, API products out there. Another one we're thinking about is a unified API reference. So if you noticed back when I just showed the API reference, it's a little bit nested within our doc structure, one, and as well, two, it's a little bit split between each of the products. And so the idea here would be to unify these and bring them to a more visible spot in one place. So developers who just want to dive into the API spec can go there, and developers who need a little bit more hand-holding, want a little bit more of a step-by-step guide, can read those quick starts and the docs in the appropriate section. And so shared a quick, rough figure of how we're thinking about stuff like that. And then lastly, of course, we're always continuing to want to improve content and create new learning content and make sure we have the necessary learning and video content. And so again, this goes hand in hand with open source, where once we're able to open source those docs, we'd love to get more of your feedback and where those gaps in the content may lie. Cool. That's a little about our portal. Our docs. And with that, I'll jump into our portal as well. And so the second part of the user journey, I've read the docs. Now I'm like, okay, let's go and actually execute and grab an API key, for example. And so if I go here, let's say I've logged in. This is the dashboard of our portal, and you can see you start off in a project. Everything here is a project base. Here I've called my project my app, and you can see this project has a set of primitives you can manage. We have this dashboard, we've got API keys, billing, team, and webhooks on this top rail, and then on the left rail you can see there are hoverovers for the specific products that you can manage in your project as well. So things like Paymaster or onramps or nodes, etc. You can access and configure them in the left rail. And so again, you can see everything here is anchored to a project. You can also switch or create new projects like so. And you can edit your project, like the name, in this little modal as well. All right, so one of the first things we'll want to do, though, to get started, as you can see, we have this like get started guide. One of the first things you'll probably want to do is create an API key. So if I go to the API key page here, you can see that we have 2 types of API keys. The first type is a secret API key here, which will allow you to hit server-side APIs. So you can create one here. By going through this flow, I'll just create one for test purposes. Call it test Alex. And you can see I'll probably delete this after, but I've saved my key. And if I want to configure it, I can go into the configure module and set like an IP allow list or specific API specific restrictions and scopes. So that's an API key for the secret for server-side APIs. The second type of API key you might want to leverage is the client API key. So you can see here we provide one by default tied to your project, so it's easy to go and grab. And you can use this to hit client-side API keys like Node client-side applications like a Node or Paymaster. You can also configure by domain allow listing. And if you want to rotate or change your client key, you can also rotate the API key. And we allow for a set number of time to expire, so you can switch out that key in production if necessary. Cool. So that's your API key, and if you have one of those 2, you should be able to then, and you've read the docs, you should be able to then get started. And for some of the products, though, as I mentioned, there are configurations that you can manage in the portal. So let's say I wanted to use Paymaster. I've got my client API key. I've read through some of the docs. I can hop over to now the Paymaster product page here. And you can see there are configurations that I can set. So I can, once I have my client key, I can set a contract allow list for my Paymaster. I can set gas policies, per user limits, etc. Similar if I wanted to use OnRamp as well, there are a couple of configurations here, like setting my application display name or initialization and a domain allow list as well. So cool, I've like got my API key, I've read through some of the docs, I've configured some of the, of my resources to my liking. The next kind of thing that I think is really interesting that you'll be able to see or start to see after you start hitting API requests is analytics. So right now my analytics are empty, but if I jump over to this sample account, I can see an example of some of the analytics I might be able to see on Paymaster. Once I've started to sponsor transactions, for example, with my client key, I can see gas spend, I can see user operations, etc. And then on OnRamp, once I've started hitting some requests or refresh, you'll be able to see like things like transaction count, API volume, etc. And then back on your dashboard as well, you can see like an overview of total API requests across all the products you're using, like for example, staking, MPC Wallet, or OnRamp, broken down, as well as RPC requests, which are from the client API key. So cool. We've got API keys, we've got product page configurations, we've got some metrics. Now if we hop over back here, let's say I am using Paymaster. Paymaster is one of these products where you're sponsoring gas users on mainnet, so you're going to need a payment method to do that, which brings me to our billing tab. And so this is our billing tab where you can manage billing and payment methods related to paid APIs. So if you need to add a payment method, this is where you do it. And for Paymaster, you need a payment method to sponsor those transactions. And we bill on a monthly basis, so we also provide invoices. And so if I hop back over to my sample account here, you can see I've got invoices as an example here for July and June. I can download them and see a breakdown of kind of what products I've been billed for. And that's just a sample, so it's just a sample. But as well, you can see not only can you use like a payment like a credit card or traditional bank, we also have functionality to buy credits with crypto currency, which leverages our in-house Coinbase Commerce integration. And so you can buy credits to fund Paymaster, for example, as well, if you don't have a traditional payment method, to increase accessibility and people who might not have access to a traditional payment method. Cool. So now it looks like I've got set up with API keys and metrics and even billing now for some paid APIs. Let's say now, like, I've kind of like feel like I've gotten the hang of it. Now I want to really start building out a project, and I have a bunch of team members as well that I need, that I want to loop in so we can share the same resources, we can collaborate together, share the same metrics. That's a great use case of our team management or multi-user functionality here. So you can see here we have this tab, team tab, which allows you to invite users to your project. You can invite users via email as a user or admin. And we have documentation here as well that explains some of the permissions that we allow for our user or admin. The idea here is that, once you invite users to a team, you'll be able to create API keys in the same project. They'll be able to see the same metrics in a project, and they'll be able to also share the similar configurations in a project, like contract allow list or gas limits, or also access the same logs as well, which you can download off in OnRamp, for example, like a CSV of your logs. Cool. So that's a little bit about a lot of the kind of functionality you can do in the portal. As well, we have link outs here to some of our docs, our status page also, which kind of shows the status of all of our APIs. And so if there's ever an incident, we'll also make sure to send notifications out via the status page and on portal. And yeah, so if we flip back to our deck, what's next for us? What's also top of mind of us on the portal? One thing that's top of mind is metrics. As you can see, there's metrics in our portal that are kind of below the line, so we want to always be adding new metrics and bringing them a little bit more top of the fold, and would welcome a lot of your feedback on what other metrics and insight you'd like to see. And hopefully we're able to continue to add more and more of those. Another one as well is testnet and faucet support. So if we go back to our portal, one of the features we have is a faucet. And right now you can grab basically ETH, but one thing that's how mine is, allowing developers to get more types of testnet and other networks. And then in a similar vein, we're always shipping new products. We want to extend, for example, our webhook support, which I didn't get to talk to yet, or ship more configurations to allow people to configure an MPC wallet that they set up with the wallet command center. So these are all things that we're thinking about and would love to get your feedback on, whether it's in feature board requests or stuff, how we can continue to make the portal, a really powerful developer companion as well for you. Cool. And so that's really all I got in terms of running through a high level of our docs and our portal. With that, maybe I can take some time and we can look through Canny, and as well, happy to answer any questions, concerns for anyone here.
Yes, Q&A session now. Do you want to look through Canny, Alex, and then I'll just ask my first question for Tiffany in the meantime. Yeah, so Tiffany, why do you need 2 different types of API keys?
Hey, everyone. Yeah, so we have 2 different types of API keys for different purposes. Like the secret API key is used to securely authenticate server to server. It's for sensitive transactions and should be kept as such. And it's using more quality security mechanisms. And then the client API key is really just for public-facing applications. You use the client API key in onchain kit and for Node RPC endpoints, and it's really just for things that you don't find, transactions that you wouldn't consider to be very sensitive.
Got it. Okay, before I ask the question in the chat, Alex, is there anything in Canny yet that you wanted to? Oh, you're muted, Alex.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Hop over there and take a quick look and refresh my screen. One of them, it looks like open source docs. That's one we talked about pretty briefly. I put that there, but that's seems to be a popular vote. That's definitely something top of mind for us. Another one seems like was put potentially before this was related to commerce around allowing the Shopify subscriptions and checkout. And so that's definitely something I can flag to our Coinbase Commerce DRIs. And it looks like we have 3 similar ones here. Use llms.txt instead of custom copy paste. I think this also might have been addressed in the chat. Quick look.
Note on this, we do have this a download as a text file in Node, Python, and Ruby. Maybe it's not very obvious from the doc, so maybe an AI to make it a little bit more obvious that you can download those text files.
Yeah, a great call out. We can definitely take that AI to make it a little bit more obvious. And yeah, agreed. Definitely good to have both. Thank you for that suggestion. That one calculator. Love the name. Yeah, that's all we got so far from here.
Okay, so one question I have for you, Alex, is what type of metrics are available currently to view in the dashboard?
Yeah, good question. On the dashboard, we have, I'll hop over to the test account I have, so it's a little bit more visually appealing. Pardon the errors, running it locally. But some of the metrics on the dashboard as an overall view, you can see our total API requests broken out by product, as well as total RPC requests. And so API requests you can think of as the ones hit from your secret key, and then RPC ones are the ones hit from your client key. As you can see, they're broken out by product here, and this one also just kind of for your client key. And then I'll also show right now on Paymaster, for example, you can see a bunch of metrics related to gas spend, user operations, unique wallets. On onramp, for example, you can also see transaction count and onramp volume. On staking as well, you can kind of see some of your earnings as well. And And then for some of the other products, we are working to, again, looking to increase more visibility and metrics. So for example, you can imagine on some of our wallet offerings, you could imagine, more dashboards around like, these are the number of wallets that you've spun up, these are the number of like transactions you've like sent from your wallets, et cetera, or even like wallet command center where you can, manage your wallets and kind of, configure them in a more granular way. And then similarly, for some of our other like products like our data APIs and smart contracts. This is another configuration here. We can register smart contracts. I imagine it'd be useful to see metrics on how many smart contracts you have active, etc. And then similarly, like for other things like verifications or on-chain kit, etc.
Cool. Okay, one more question. How are developers notified if and when there is ever a downtime in our services?
Yeah, currently, Alex called this out earlier. We have a status page that will, I think currently it's broken down to CDP APIs and product APIs, but we do have plans to make this more granular. So it's broken down into, actually, it's currently broken down into separate APIs, but also we'll add like portal and other docs pages, the marketing site as well to the status page. We don't have push right now, but if that's something that is interesting or would be helpful, we could definitely add it to the roadmap as well.
Cool. Another question I have. Can non-Coinbase employees also add demo apps to be featured?
Yes, if you go to our Learn page and you scroll here, we also feature demo apps. So here are 3 partners of ours that use some of the CP APIs to build, in this case, Blocklords is like a medieval grand style game. MoshiCam is like a social media app, and Moonwell is a bit of a borrowing protocol. So we featured their apps and demos here as well as examples of people who've used CDP. And if you'd like to be featured, we have this little call out here where you can share your product or demo and fill out this form, and we'll get back to you. And then again, love to feature this content or share examples of what the community is building as well in this repository of demo apps.
Well, I have a question along with that. I've seen some people doing some open source work on our different projects. Where can people, is that, posted publicly, or how can the community kind of find out about that? It's just ad hoc and kind of random. I don't know, maybe some people have some questions around that. If you guys don't know, that's okay, but just curious.
Sorry, you said open source project.
Yeah, open source, anything that's related to, like if they see something in our products and they want to make a change to it, just put a pull request for it. Is that, can they do that in any of our projects? Would they do that through the portal, or how's that process so far?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think we have that like fully open source yet, but I think again some of the feedback mechanisms we have are things like Canny, as well. On every docs page we have like, was this page helpful, and that it's targeted specifically to a page, so you can probably add feedback there. But I think my most recommended would be if you have an idea, a suggestion for a product, would be great to use this Canny board here to do that.
Cool.
And surface it to the appropriate product owner as well. And I think it's also a little bit more efficient to be able to like upvote and centralize them there. And our team will be checking.
Okay.
Also, just call it out in Discord. I think that we have a lot of people monitoring every day. So, and we have engineers from all the teams monitoring as well.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so let's see. One more question. I know some of these questions, guys, if I'm skipping your questions, it's just because it's not relevant to the topic or our speakers. We like to save that for our feedback forms and for other teams to answer. So, one more question I have for you guys is, will there be any promotional events or CDP hosted side events at ETH Denver, this conference coming up that a lot of people from our team are going to?
Sorry, do you mind? I missed the last part. Do you mind?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, will there be any promotional events or CDP hosted side events at ETH Denver for anybody in the audience who's going or might be interested in going?
Yeah, we're actually working on a little bit of an activation as well related to Portal and Docs. We like to call it CDP Quest. We ran this at a previous like hackathon event, which I can kind of share briefly what it looks like. It's essentially a bit of a gamified experience, trying to highlight some of our products and how to learn how to get started. Called Quest. You can sign up. Once we release it at ETH Denver, you'll be able to sign up and kind of complete some actions related to on-chain AI, on-chain payments, on-chain tools, and complete some of these challenges for prizes that you can redeem in person at ETH Denver as well. So a little bit of sneak preview. Stay tuned for that.
And I just posted the Luma link to the side event that we're hosting, and I'll be kind of managing that and helping out with that. And yeah, we're trying to bring in builders that are working on different things, maybe even to demo some stuff. So reach out to me or reach out to people in Discord if you're interested in that. Yeah, just wanted to do a call out for that quick, but that's the link right there. Just wait for there's a wait list right now, which is like pretty long, but we're adding a lot of people in the next couple days. So just, yeah, stay tuned on that. Okay, cool. I think those are kind of all the questions. Let me just check one more time if there's any that I missed that you guys would like to answer. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, unless there's anything else on Canny that you wanted to discuss that you saw.
Yeah, I see one question on like Coinbase Commerce. I just want to call it Coinbase Commerce right now is a separate portal, developer portal, and we have discussions on kind of integrating them into CV portal, but for now it's a separate portal. We can flag that kind of issue too. The
Cool.
DRI on Coinbase Commerce.
Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, so that pretty much is it, you guys. This brings us to the end of our discussion. Thank you so much for speaking and bringing this presentation and sharing with everybody things that you've been up to and that you're launching soon. And to the audience, thanks so much for your attendance and for questions and having the discussion. Keep it going. And to continue the discussion, we have this Canny link that we've been mentioning a few times. Put some stuff in there. We'll be watching that. You can also, if you have direct questions for the team, right now, just head to the general channel. And I think that's pretty much it. And we're running a few more events in January and February, a lot of stuff in February coming up, more workshops. So always let us know what you're building in the show and tell channel. Also let us know if there's some workshops that you'd like to learn new things that we're not putting out that you haven't seen on our Luma page. So let us know. And we'll also post in the YouTube channel when this video is when the recording of this is done. So just look out for that then. So that's pretty much it from me. Thank you so much, everybody. Hope you have an awesome rest of your week.
Thanks, everyone.